Did I? Refresh my memory.
Facebook.
You put something, but I don't remember what it was. Like, refresh my memory. What was it again?
Well, basically, if everybody has to stay home, there's obviously going to be a run on books, so everybody should buy as many books.
Yes. And I shared that on my own Facebook page.
I'm pretty sure every author did.
And if everyone has to stay home, they might as well be listening to podcasts. I mean, come on now.
Dude, we want them to survive, not commit harry-carry.
Oh, God. You're funny. Not.
I'm from Chicago, so when I hear that, I immediately think of Harry Carey.
Which is what they were named after, I think. Probably? I don't know.
No, but it works.
Yeah. This coronavirus, we're going to talk about this because...
Oh, my God.
What? No, it's...
Are you surrounded by toilet paper and hand sanitizer? All right.
Do you have the coronavirus? This is the second time you mentioned it.
No. I went running this afternoon, and because I can't ignore a 71-degree day. And, just my lungs are reacting to not, running for the first time in a couple of months. So
that's just called being out of shape.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a little bit of the boobons, that's all.
All right, let's get started here.
Sure.
Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of Superhero Speak.
But I think many of the people that love this character and that love superheroes in general have used these stories as inspiration to say, you know what? I'm going to do something good in the world. I'm going to make a difference like my hero when I was a kid.
That is my fondest memory of it, because when you're doing comic books, you want them to affect people.
Right.
You want people to care. You want to strike emotions. And I knew that Clone Saga was striking a lot of emotions.
Can you imagine Pulp Fiction starring Goofy and Mickey Mouse?
I can totally imagine that.
I'm sure somebody's written that one.
Quarter pounder with cheese and France, Mickey. What? Boy, ale with cheese, Mickey. Yeah, I can totally.
See?
I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Yes, I gladly sacrifice my progeny to you, almighty Marvel beast.
But Neil Adams is somewhere going, it's my time.
How do you measure success?
Hey, everyone. You're listening to Superhero Speak, and I'm your host, Dave.
And I'm a horse. And I'm John.
And I'm no, wait, never mind. I'm JD.
There was about to be a really bad joke there.
Yes, there was, but I pulled it back. I did it again. Did you? Did it again.
Yeah, I know, exactly. So how was your week, JD?
Kind of uneventful, actually. It was nice.
Oh, that's always good.
Yeah. How was yours?
See, that's right. The season's over. I guess you don't have any books coming out this week.
No, I finished a rewrite on one. I started another one, a rewrite today on another. But I'm not ready to talk about those quite yet. Okay. I went to watch my college wrestling team compete the last 2 days. We had a college wrestling team reunion on Saturday. That was fun. But that's it. Nothing important.
How'd they do?
They took third. The best they've done in probably like 7 or 8 years. So pretty happy about that.
Cool.
I actually had a very busy weekend. Let me get my. I actually went to my mother-in-law's yesterday, and it was one of those things. So you lose an hour of sleep, right?
Yeah.
And then my brother-in-law came to pick us all up, and he's like, "I'll come get you guys at 8:00." And he didn't actually get here till 8:30, but that still was pretty bad. And then, my mother-in-law's, pretty out of it anymore, and so she was sleeping most of the time we were there. So, something that happened not too long ago, they got dinged by the township because their steps weren't regulation, even though the house is, 40, 50 years old. The steps have been there ever since, but someone tried to report them. So he's building a deck on the front of the house with a ramp because she needs to use a wheelchair now anyway. So I ended up helping him finish that up, and then we went out to dinner. So I didn't get home till like 9. So, and then got up early and went to the gym. I'm an idiot.
Good for you.
The other thing I wanted to actually share with the audience is, it's not going to be for a few weeks, my episode, but I am guest on a podcast called Love and Grief, and it's a podcast about people who've lost loved ones and They tell their stories and then how they dealing with the grief and moving forward. And actually I've listened to a few of the episodes and it's very therapeutic and I really like the show. So, but my episode I believe is going to be the first week in April. It's going to go up. So keep an ear out for that, people, and I'll let you know when it actually gets put up. So what are you up to, John? Besides coughing and spreading germs everywhere
and typing.
At some point I'm going to fix that, but probably in the year 2025. But I had to run today, and just my lungs are reacting to the fact that, hey, you know what? We get used like this. Hey, let's just cough up everything. No, my week was really cool. Actually, I had fun last weekend. I spent it in Gettysburg.
Yeah,
I found my name on one of the plaques. Apparently, I'm a time traveler. So I'm trying to find where I put the Apple stock that I invested in when I went back, so that I can collect my millions of dollars now in compounded interest.
Not the day to ask for that interest, man. Not the day.
Yeah, I know, right?
Well,
I know.
Well, here's a question. Like, did you also realize that you have a very common name?
Your name is about as Irish gets. Like, it's
exactly.
It's like potatoes and whiskey.
Which is also on the plaque, I assume.
Well, yeah, well, died of whiskey, whiskey overdose, right? No, I know. It's just, but you don't really expect it.
No, that's true.
And we were going around. We were looking for a name for my friend's, one of my friend's ancestors, and then she said, "Oh my God, look!" And I look over and there's my name, and all right, cool. I knew I was old, but not that old.
Do you ever search yourself on Facebook and see how many people have the same name as you?
No, but I Google my name all the time.
Yeah, what do you find?
I got a lot of shit.
Yeah?
Google me. I'm all over the place.
Well, I know that there's another O'Grady near where I live, another John O'Grady. There's another John O'Grady in where I work, because sometimes I get his email. And, so yeah, I know it's not that uncommon, but it's still neat to see it, like, on a monument.
It's the crisis of multiple Johns.
No, well, any more than one John is a crisis.
Yeah, well, that's true.
How did you do besides that? Anything else interesting besides going on a podcast that we get to listen to at some point?
No, that was about it. I mean, going to the gym, of course, as usual.
All right.
And trying to get ready for bikini season,
Oh, no. Okay. Yeah, I'll take coronavirus over that image, thank you.
Oh, come on.
I'll take Ebola virus over it.
When we get to New York, I'm going to walk around in a Speedo. I thought you knew this already.
Thor wore no Speedo.
Dave, at this point, there's not going to be a New York Comic-Con, so...
Also true.
Oh, there'll be a New York Comic-Con. Don't you worry about that.
I don't know. We'll have to see.
I don't know. If this is still a problem in October, it's like a lot of people are going to be dead. They're just going to be, like, really sick. Not even really sick. Like, have you read, like, the symptoms of this virus? Like, you get a runny nose and a cough.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
And a fever. It's like, oh, okay. So unless you're going to die anyway, like, you're going to be okay.
Well, the death rate on this one is in the 3% range.
It's pretty low.
Yeah, the death rate of the regular flu is like 0.7% or something. So it's actually quite high compared to other things.
Yes, but
not a gunshot wound.
There's a
no. The death rate on those is extremely high, from what I've heard.
There's actually a formula they use when they calculate the life of viruses like this. It's like the Favre equation or something like that. It's like FAV maybe, something like that.
Favre.
And it's basically there's a bell curve to it. Like it hits a peak and then it starts going down, the number of cases. And they were reporting today that the number of cases have dramatically dropped in China at this point. So,
or they're not telling us it's China, for crying out loud.
So, and it's a couple of the other countries too. So they're saying that but they're not saying we're not out of the woods yet because it could peak in the United States still. But yeah, so I don't think it's. But it started did it start in January?
Yeah,
in China, as far as we know.
You got to remember for this type of flu virus, like the Spanish flu in 1918. Yeah, it peaked and then went down, and then the next August it came back with a death rate of like 50%.
Oh my God! Oh,
but it's not the 19th century.
Exactly.
Like, we're better at this stuff now.
I know.
We're a lot better at this stuff now.
I know. But again, like this is the history of how that works. And,
I need to know how much hand sanitizer and toilet paper have you bought?
No, I've tried. You know that even that recipe for making hand sanitizer uses isopropyl alcohol or witch hazel or whatever. All of those are sold out on Amazon.
So the thing I love the most, everyone keeps pointing this out, and it's so true, is the stores keep selling out of hand sanitizer, but not soap.
Isn't that great?
This is how stupid we are.
It's sad, is what it is.
Really I don't actually want to wash my hands. I just want to make them good enough for 5 minutes.
And you know what they say? The soap is what actually kills them or takes the virus and takes it away. With a hand sanitizer, it inactivates it, but it leaves it on your hands.
Mm-hmm.
And it's alcohol based. It evaporates really quickly too. So it's
wash your damn hands, people.
Exactly. That's all you gotta do. Wash your hands. And I don't know what you're doing with the toilet paper, people, but I'm a little worried.
Yeah, because diarrhea isn't one of the symptoms.
Right, exactly.
So you're dropping bombs because of your eating habits, not because of...
It's because they're eating all that canned food they bought because they've locked themselves in their house.
Or they're confused about this coronavirus thing and are loading up on Mexican food.
Or Corona beer. Which can give you the runs. Anyway.
I think you were...
All right. Well, we'll get a little bit more news about that in a minute. But first, we got to do social media madness, guys.
No, we don't. It got sick with the coronavirus and died. It's one of those statistics. Sorry.
So you remember we had talked about last week. I was on the Geek World All Stars podcast crossover episode, and I hosted it. The topic was who played it best. And you guys kept joking the whole time.
That's what we do.
What?
It's what we do.
Yes. Throwing out names of the people who didn't actually play these characters. So Randy Savage took that as an opportunity to say, hey, I'm actually good for the recasting challenge next crossover. You guys spawned something. Are you happy?
Yeah. Once it starts trending, yes.
Yeah. So look for that, people, next time. And people may have noticed that there was an episode released earlier this week, which was the crossover. I hope you enjoyed it. All right. Now, you guys also remember we talked about She-Hulk and how they haven't cast the main character yet at this point. And we had a couple people chime in with their ideas of who could play her. And of course, Podcast said Gina, how do you say her last name, JD? Carano from Mandalorian, of course. That seems to be a lot of people's favorite pick. And then the other options that we were given were, of course, Rachel Weisz.
Yeah. But she's a little bit old to play it right now, isn't she?
Maybe. I don't know.
I hate to say that because it's Rachel Weisz and she's amazing, but.
And that came from Jose Rodriguez on Twitter. And Jeff Hussein said, because I also asked if people were excited about the show, he said, nah, I'm getting bored with these superhero movies.
Why the hell are you following us on Twitter?
That is a good question, because he does follow us. I thought it was someone who just saw the tweet, but no, he follows us. And Jose Rodriguez also said, and I trust Marvel. So he trusts them to make a good choice. So we shall see. We shall see, people. And then finally, we had talked about Marvel launching the Ultraman comic, and we had the Ucho Dore Parlay Hour podcast say, I'm taking a wait and see approach on this one. I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see. It comes out later this year, so we'll see. And then Earthworm Jason just sent us a GIF of Power Man. So
awesome.
So thank you, Earthworm Jason. All right. See, guys, I kept it short this week because we have something very important to talk about related to social media.
We're all going to die. Oh, no, sorry.
No, that's
Nerd Madness, same difference.
So everyone remembers that last year we did the first ever Nerd Madness competition where we took 4 areas of fandom, comics, movies, TV, and anime, picked 16 things from each category, had them go head-to-head on Twitter polls until we got down to the one winner, which happened to be Aubrey Sitterson and his lovely book, The History of Pro Wrestling.
The Comics History of Pro Wrestling.
Comics History of Pro Wrestling. Sorry, JD. So we figured we would repeat that, and maybe we'll get the same success this year. And of course, Aubrey came on the show to collect his no prize. But this year we're doing a little different, boys and girls. First, we are taking it down to 8 from each category because we didn't get done until May, I believe.
Long after March Madness had been completed.
Yes, so hopefully if we take it down to 8, we can get it done at least maybe by mid-April. And we're taking the same categories again. I am doing TV. JD said he will take movies this year.
Ooh, oh boy. That's into that.
John is getting anime.
Yay!
And our good friend D Square has given us a list of comics to use in the comics division. Since he is the comic book reviewer for the official comic book reviewer for the website. So we'll start with TV. My 8 picks for this season are Batwoman, the newest addition to the CW lineup. The Boys, the Amazon Prime original.
Brutal.
Watchmen, the HBO series. The Mandalorian, of course. And
also brutal.
The Witcher.
Brutally awesome. Go ahead.
The Witcher on Netflix, Umbrella Academy, and Black Lightning. Because even though Black Lightning started last year, we did not include Black Lightning last year. So I figured we would give him his shot, since now he's also part of they've combined the universe, and he's part of the CW verse proper. So, as part of the Crisis. So they are my 8 choices, guys.
These are not your seeds, though, right? You have not seeded it?
I have not seeded it yet. We will put that together, and you'll do a nice image like you did last year, and we'll release that on Twitter, probably shortly after this episode goes up. All right, so JD, what are your choices for movies?
My 8 movies of the year. I try to keep it like a little genre focused, as opposed to all over the place. So my picks were Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man Far From Home, It Chapter 2, Captain Marvel, John Wick 3, Toy Story 4.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yes, it was a good one. Toy Story 4. Midsommar, another horror movie that was just balls crazy awesome. And even though I didn't see it and probably won't ever see it, I can't deny its strength this year at the box office and with our community, The Joker.
That's
interesting.
That's a different list than I saw on the.
Well, that's because originally
it wasn't mine.
I had thrown a list together quickly because just for us to discuss, because we all did movies together last year, but then JD changed it last minute. I am kind of curious.
With a good idea, mind you, sir.
Well, yeah, but it's a much stronger lineup because this list I'm looking at had Dark Phoenix in, and I was pretty sure I could win back with anything.
Well, hold on. I will say that I kept it comic book focused, and I kind of like JD's choices better, except the one horror movie. I can't even say that sounds familiar to me.
Bro, you need to go see Midsommar.
Oh no, I've heard of this movie. You leave a changed person.
Yes.
Mostly in a white van where you don't have to worry about where you put your arms when they give you the nice coat.
Yes.
It's balls out, just completely insane.
Okay.
A group of youngins visit a town in Sweden where they have I believe it's every 300-year pagan festival, and it's just like a summer festival. It's like it's a day where the sun doesn't set, or it's time when the sun doesn't set, and so they managed to make things that are overly lit absolutely horrifying.
Interesting. Okay.
Don't pee on trees. That's the lesson you come out of that.
Oh my god. I have a bad feeling that'll end up being our winner. Okay.
It's so good. It's so good.
Okay, John, have you come up with your anime list?
I have, and I actually surprised myself at what I've got to work with. So, cool. I'm going to do this, like, as we talk. I am going to take out the obvious My Hero Academia Season 4 because I have a list of other ones that are actually pretty good. So we have Castlevania Season 3, which is on Netflix, and the whole series is just unbelievably amazing and gory, which is, again, unbelievably amazing. Radiant Season 2. Radiant is a anime that came out a while ago, and I guess they waited on Season 2 for the manga to catch up, and Season 2 turned out to be a surprise because the first season was, it was okay. The second season is amazing. So that's one worth checking out. Inspector is another, like, surprise. It's ongoing right now, and it's about a girl who gets her leg chopped off and her eye gouged out, so she becomes the goddess of wisdom to all of the ghosts.
Interesting.
Yeah. Then there's Demon Slayer. There's no way I could leave this off the list because Demon Slayer is the first anime to have one of its episodes trending on Twitter, and it won Best Anime Awards on Crunchyroll, and probably going to win a whole bunch of other awards, especially for episode, I think it's 19. Episode 19 made people cry. Some of the best animation ever put to film. It's unbelievable. You have to see it. Ascendance of a Bookworm, which is about it's an isekai, JD, for people like JD. That means that it's a person who gets transported to another world, but this is a person who likes books, and she's transported to a world where books are really rare. So this is her attempt to get to the point where she can write books and have books around. There's Darwin's Game, which is about as balls out crazy as Midsummer. So go see that. That's all I can say about it. Dragon Prince Season 3 from the makers of Airbender. It finished really strong. Season 3 is the last season. But for those of you that have seen Airbender, I'll spoil one little thing for you. The main character in Dragon Prince, his voice actor is the same one as Sokka from Airbender. And at one point, he sees this thing in the distance. He looks up and is like, is it Boomerang? And, for people who've seen Airbender, they get that. And then the last one, JD, this one's for you. The name isn't as crazy as you like, but Interspecies Reviewers. Now, I want you to think about what that could possibly mean.
Sounds like Yelp for people who travel the galaxy and looking for dates.
Nope, it's much worse. Let me put it this way. So, Funimation bought the series and is paying for the dubbing and the anime. And they canceled it after the third episode because the whole premise is a bunch of guys going out and having relations with all different types of species, and then reviewing them.
Huh. We cross our sci-fi with misogyny. Interesting.
Well, not just misogyny. This is hentai. Well, actually, the problem is the problem in the anime community is that it's technically hentai, but the storyline is so good, and there are certain situations that make it anime. So there's a big talk in the anime community about is this really just hentai? Because it's not. Doesn't seem like it, but it's not anime because there's lots of sex scenes in it. So it's interesting.
Okay.
Okay. You have me frightened, John, and aroused.
Oh yeah, no, I got some wild cards here, man.
All right, and then D Square gave us a list. He actually added a couple after he gave me his list of 8. So I'm actually going to make an executive decision and make one change to his list.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
So, of course, he included House of X. He did talk about that highly on a recent episode that he was on. And then Powers of 10.
Powers of X. Isn't it Powers of X, actually?
Oh, yes, you're right. It's Powers of X. I wrote it down as he was saying it. So, Powers of X, Blade Runner 2019 from IDW, Life and Death of Toya Harda. That is a story of after the Hiroshima was bombed in 1945, it awoken monsters. So it's kind of a, what's the term for that? Kaiju, yeah, type story. Absolute Carnage, Conan the Barbarian, the relaunch of Black Cat from 2019, and then, John, did you just send me something? Sorry.
I sent you my list. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. What was it I was taking? I was saying, okay. And then, Batman Deceased. So he had put, Damned on there, the one shot that, got a lot of press. But then he said Deceased was better, and I agree. It's just Damned had more press. But we should keep on here what we like, correct?
Sure.
All right, so there is our list of comics for 2019. Well, for 2020, but 2019. So there we go, boys and girls. So what does that mean? That means that you need to keep an eye on our Twitter going forward for the next few weeks or so, where we will have polls going up probably every other day, and you will vote on our head-to-head battles, and the winner will get the famous Superhero Speak No prize. So if you if you would like to learn more about Social Media Madness, our social media, and how to follow us, here is D Square to tell you more.
Enjoying the show? Want to be part of Social Media Madness? Make sure you are following superheroespeak.com, where you can find all of the show's social media links at the top of the page. While you're there, you can check out old episodes of the podcast as well as some other great content. Check the site often because we are posting some great comic reviews as well as comic book and movie news content every day. Make sure and follow us on Twitter at SuperheroSpeak. And while you're there, check out the rest of the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network. You can follow them at @stars_geek. The Geek World All-Star Podcast Network include great programs such as the Pop Prison Power Podcast, Cult 45, So Wizard, Fans on Patrol, the Gorilla Brain Podcast, and of course, Superhero Speak. Search for #GWAllStars. You will not be disappointed. Now it's back to Dave and the boys on Superhero Speak.
All right. So there you go. Now you know where to find all things Superhero Speak and Geek World All-Stars. And on that note, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
And we're back. All right, guys, we're going to talk news. John, you had talked about how we're all dying from the coronavirus soon.
Yep. All just zombies.
So we have had 2 convention victims of so far this year from the virus. Emerald City Comic Con has been postponed till later this year. It was supposed to be this weekend coming up. But South by Southwest just flat out canceled the show for this year.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Because that's huge from my understanding. And, I mean, there's probably going to be a lot of disappointed people, I would think.
The thing that worries me is that, I mean, there's a concentration of people who have tested positive for it out on that side of the country. But if you look at the current map, we have the same concentration on this side of the country now, too. And the people that normally go to Emerald City and C2E2 and all that, on the convention route that they're on, they usually swing back around this way for Awesome Con, Great Philly Comic Con, I guess, Wizard World, if it still exists in Philly. But the thing is that, some of these creators, artists and others, they rely on these things to make a living. And if they miss, even one, they're in trouble. And it sucks.
Yes, very much so. I mean, that is very true. I have a very good friend who makes a lot of money off of these shows every year. And he was still planning to go to Emerald City, and of course, even when he heard people were pulling out, he's like, "Nope, I'm gonna go." And they, they changed their minds.
And have you heard? This was reported a couple of days ago. DC cancels March Comic-Con appearances amid coronavirus. Basically, nobody from DC is going to be appearing at any Comic-Con in March.
Well, that's probably, knowing how these shows are run, that's probably 50% true. Like, DC won't officially be making any appearances, but it's up to the individual artists and writers if they want to go to a show.
Right. We're actually under contract where they can tell them where and when to go.
But they said, let's see, a DC spokesperson said Tuesday in a statement to the Hollywood Reporter, as the health and safety of our employees are always our primary concerns, DC staffers will not be attending conventions during the month of March.
Right, staffers.
Right.
Writers and artists are freelance.
Well, we'll see, because a lot of artists are pulling out too. So future convention attendance will be evaluated on a case-by-case basis, factoring in the latest information from a variety of organizations, including the CDC, WHO, U.S. State Department, and local health agencies.
Right. Yeah, I mean, again, I think based on, how this stuff usually goes, I think probably by the end of the summer, or midsummer, things will start calming down. And, the thing is, I mean, it all comes down to common sense, right? Like, wash your hands, don't touch your face too much, if you've got a cough, cover, and, don't run out and buy hand sanitizer and toilet paper, because that's not going to save you.
Dave, they just did the opposite of all those things. You were saying something about common sense. Amazon.com, you cannot find anything, including the ingredients for homemade hand sanitizer.
But you know what you can find on Amazon.com? It's a great selection of books.
Well, I mean, it's funny, too, because, like, I have seen a couple people walking around with, surgical masks on their face. And it's like, you realize that it does more good if you have it to keep you from spreading it to other people than it does to prevent you from getting it.
Yeah.
It's pretty common in Japan to see that. Like, random people walking on the street will have those masks draped over their face. And again, they don't do anything.
But I am worried because, the next one we normally cover is the Great Philly Comic-Con.
Yeah, that's in a month from now.
And I've heard rumblings from there that, people might be pulling out.
Yeah, they might be. We'll see.
Yeah, well,
let's give it 2 weeks and see where we're at, I think, is the best way to say it. That's my thing. I have a wait and see attitude. Like, yeah, if I wake up tomorrow and they say 10,000 people in the United States have this, then I'll start worrying. But I don't think that's going to happen.
You got a 97% chance of surviving the coronavirus.
Yes.
Even if you get it, you'll be fine more times than not.
Yes. I'm not.
Wash your hands.
I think John has the most chance of dying because he is the oldest.
True.
But
it's true. Yeah.
So that's why you're worried.
Old man O'Grady's been on death's door for quite some time. He's been cheating the Grim Reaper for too long.
Well, mostly because I'm so old, the Grim Reaper, just kind of misses me.
You have a debt, and he's coming back to collect.
So people just make your toilet paper throne, order JD's latest books off of Amazon, and sit in your house and read them.
You're going to need something to keep you company
until this all blows over. Yes. All right. Now on to more interesting news. So the final official trailer for Black Widow dropped today. And have you guys had a chance to look at it yet?
I have not, actually.
Oh, how about you, John?
King upright.
Oh my God. That's not how it's supposed to work. So
in my defense, my washer broke last week, and I was trying to get to the point where tonight I had to vacuum it out, and I didn't even get to that because between work and other things.
In my defense, I was thinking more about the March Madness.
Oh, there you go.
Oh.
No, you can't use that line now, John.
Well, I was going to just add that now, but okay.
Okay, so what I'll say is, I mean, it really hasn't lessened or increased my desire to see the movie. I still want to see the movie.
I'm watching this trailer right now, and it looks very paint by numbers to me.
Yeah, it's still got all of the action sayings that you expect out of an action movie. I made mistakes in my past. Yes,
right. But I mean, if you pay attention, they reveal a little bit more of what the plot is in this trailer than they have so far, which I think has been a complaint. It's usually about most Marvel movies too with their trailers. They don't give anything away, and you get an idea of what's going on now.
Make no mistake. I am not poo-pooing this. I want to see this movie. There's nothing that's going to stop me from going to see this movie.
Well, except the coronavirus, maybe.
Okay, there's one thing that may stop me from going to see this movie.
That's what torrent sites are for.
But
I'm kidding.
But seriously, yeah, I mean, it looks good. I'm watching it in the background too, and yeah, I mean, I can't wait to see it because again, we're getting our female superhero renaissance now. So, between this and Captain Marvel and all that, yeah, I can't wait for them to go and do more after this. I'm hoping that this does well.
Taskmaster does a little Wakanda Forever pose.
Yes, he does.
Because we want to see more female superheroes, and we need the executives to be proven wrong for all these years.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things that drives me nuts because they've already been proven wrong. They just didn't. They've never jumped on it. I mean, Yeah,
well, because it involves women, you have to hit them over the head quite a few times to get it into their head that they were wrong.
Perhaps.
Oh, man, were you just channeling Ben there? Oh my gosh.
What?
Ben, the two of us need look no more.
No.
We're not talking about the rat, are we?
No, not this time. All right.
Speaking of horror movies, okay.
Yeah, I don't get it, but okay.
Okay, so anyway, so we're all still in. We still want to go see this movie. Some of us want to download it.
No, I was kidding. It was a joke.
Yeah. No, we support these creators. We support the mouse, and only because we're forced to, because Disney will find us. Those are good.
Speaking of things that are no joke, Christian Bale's acting chops are no joke. Did you know this?
I enjoy his work.
Yeah.
In fact, he's so good.
He creates wind chimes.
Sorry about that. That's my.
Every time you mention him, you get wind chimes, no matter where you are.
It's like, look, you look in the mirror 3 times and go, Christian Bale, Christian Bale, Christian Bale.
I did not.
Batman movie? Is that how you get a Batman movie?
I have a Ring doorbell, and when red cars go by outside, it sets off the motion detector for some reason.
Red car?
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but it's something about the color red.
Sound like my dog.
Anyway, see, I've lost the whole thing now. So, Christian Bale, it has been confirmed by Tessa Thompson, he has been cast as the villain for Thor: Love and Thunder. So,
interesting.
They haven't said who he's playing yet. Go ahead.
I'll say 2 things. I love that subtitle.
Right.
2, who is he playing? Guesses?
You'll have to explain that one.
What?
I asked for a guess. I said guesses. I
thought that was the name of a character. I'm like, guesses? Who's that? It's not the weirdest villain name I've ever heard, but.
As I was saying, guesses?
I don't know, because here, the thing with that is, what good Thor villains are left that we would care enough to see in a movie?
So, it looks like if they're kind of taking a page from the Jason Aaron run of Thor.
Uh-huh.
Perhaps the God Butcher?
Perhaps. I saw someone, but I'm like, I don't know how that's the villain. Someone throw out the idea of Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah, I don't see him as a villain.
Yeah, he's never been, he's probably been a villain, but usually he's just a hero, right?
Yeah.
Right.
How about Desek?
Who?
Desek? I don't know. I'm going through his rogues gallery.
You're going through his
anybody Christian Bale could play.
I mean, the God Killer makes the most. That makes the most sense because it's like. So here's the thing, right? Like, what is the storyline going to be on this? Of course you've got so many people throwing out theories and ideas. It's like, oh, well, this is going to be Natalie Portman taking over for Chris Hemsworth, and Chris Hemsworth is going to walk away from the role. I really don't think that's going to happen.
No.
Not in that sense. And again, if you've read the storyline where she was Thor, it wasn't because she permanently took over. It was the whole cancer thing. So yeah. But then again, is it someone who's going to end up being a bigger MCU villain?
I'm going to go with no.
Because they tend not to do that? Yeah,
I mean, like, because it's a Thor movie, not an Avengers movie. I could be wrong, but I don't know. I'm not feeling it. I think they would have made a bigger deal if Christian Bale was going to be, like, the next villain. Like, if he's Kang, which would be cool, but...
Yeah, but how does Kang fit in with Thor?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I just think... I'm just feeling he's a villain for this movie.
Yeah. He's a Revengers villain. Oh, wait. That was something Thor made up in the last movie. Yeah, I really can't think of anyone that I would want to see that would fit with the whole Jane Foster taking over storyline as well, you know? Which, how do you make that work without Odin, since they killed off Odin?
I don't know.
Dark matter? It seems to be what they use when they need to do Ex Machina. So
no, that's DC.
What? No, dark matter wasn't dark matter.
Oh, no, you're right. It's antimatter in DC.
Yeah, yes. It's dark matter in the Marvel universe.
I mean, anything's better than Malik, right?
Malekith?
Malekith, yeah, from the Dark World.
Malekith's a cool character, but who played him?
Eccleston.
Thank you. Christopher Eccleston was just kind of like, I want a car, I want a new boat. kind of phoned it in a little bit.
I wonder if that was when Eccleston was still going through his eating problems and all that. Because it just came out, very recently that he was talking about it now. That he wasn't in a really good place for a while. It's part of the reason why I left Doctor Who after one season.
I forgot about that, if that was a thing. Maybe.
Yeah, could be. He was just cranky.
He does strike me as cranky.
Yeah, well.
Hey, Pearl Jam just canceled their North American tour because of the virus.
They canceled their entire tour.
The first leg of the North American tour.
Okay, good. Here we are, our live coronavirus updates, everyone.
That's what I'm doing. Giving you the down low on when you're going to die. The answer? Soon.
All right, so we'll leave it to you, audience. Who do you think Christian Bale is playing, and who would you want him to play? And what villain makes sense to be involved with the Jane Foster becoming Thor storyline?
Or is it just Patrick Bateman?
Interesting. Do you cast Christian Bale just to play?
It was a joke.
Okay.
That was the character's name in American Psycho.
Oh, I'm thinking of who was I thinking of? Damn it.
I don't know.
You guys are the Marvel people, so I don't know.
I was thinking of like a side character from like an old Thor comic, and I can't think of who it was now. Okay. Yes, you're right. Well, there you go. That would be a good villain.
I was about to ask if you like Phil Collins.
Phil Collins?
No.
So you never saw American Psycho, did you?
No, Huey Lewis in the News.
No, he says Phil Collins too.
Oh, okay.
He goes on a whole Genesis diatribe.
Yeah, You're right. I've never seen American Psycho.
It's a good movie.
Right, but the whole scene in the living room is when he was talking about.
He does Huey Lewis. He does Phil Collins at the very end.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Phil Collins would be a good villain for Thor.
John, do yourself a favor. Go watch American Psycho.
I think you'd like it, John.
Right. I'm putting it on the list.
So, do you know, guys, there's a whole vein of storytelling that a story where there must be a whole host of wonderful ideas that haven't been touched on yet.
No.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Apparently, Taika Waititi is not only making one, but two animated series based on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory for Netflix.
Like a 300-page book?
I guess. I can't remember. It's it's probably fairly long. And, 300 isn't that long. And,
no. Well, there were a couple of books there.
There are a couple of books. The glass elevator, and then, I think there's one more after that. One of the series is going to, focus mainly on the Oompa Loompas and their time in Loopaland.
I have zero interest in that.
Because that's something we've always wanted a whole show based on, right?
Did they work with Han Solo back then?
Oh.
I'm sorry. It's just, ow. I mean...
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, and how many more times do you tell the story of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory as well? Like,
what do you do when you run out of ideas?
Oh, good. I
just, yeah, I saw that and I was just like, what are they smoking over at Netflix?
Weed.
They're
but
not
like
smoking, snorting, you know.
If I had time, I could do a whole song. But I mean, like, I don't know. It's just, and I like Taika Waititi, but he is kind of like become the go-to guy for these things. And like, whether these movies or these series, I guess, actually happen, it's a different story. But I mean, I don't know. We saw it. Like, you're just not going to surpass the Gene Wilder thing. Like, Johnny Depp couldn't even do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay to let things lie. Like, we haven't tried to remake The Wizard of Oz.
So, I saw an article.
I just spoke that into existence, didn't I?
Oh, yes. God. Why did you say that?
Did you ever see the Return to Oz?
Yeah, that was cool, man. That's one of those mid-'80s things that probably shouldn't have been made, but they just let it squeak out, and Disney went, we let this thing out? And they've just kind of quietly forgotten that it's ever happened. That and, like, Black Cauldron, same aesthetic.
Yeah, I mean, but it's just like, oh my God, this is not the movie from when I was a kid. Well, I mean, I was a kid in the 80s, but, you know, this isn't what we watch on Easter.
No, it's very, very different. It's messed up. It's quite good.
Yeah.
There was another Oz one that a series that they just did, like, a couple of years ago, wasn't there?
Raimi made a prequel that was useless and best left forgotten.
No, this was a sequel, but I'll go look it up. I forget. Somebody famous.
No, wait. That show Oz has nothing to do with the Wizard.
Oh, yeah, that's much different.
Not that one. That is not. Oh my gosh. Let me see if I can find it. I know that. What was that actress?
But you know what? I will say, if they told me they were making an animated series based on the Wizard of Oz today, I would think it's a little more acceptable than.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, just because, you know, you can do a good kids cartoon, 10-episode cartoon based on that story. And a lot of a lot of those kinds of lessons I think can still hold true today. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. And do they overly PC it as well?
I mean, Roald Dahl's kind of not a very PC creator, so I don't know. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be good, but it's going to be interesting. You know, that being said, Taika Waititi is super talented, and he'll find something to make it interesting, depending on if he's actually working on it, or if he's just going to slap his name on it as a producer and kind of ignore what happens.
Well, then because I also wonder that too. Like, did they say, "Oh, we have an idea to do a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory series. Would you want to do it?" Did he turn around and go, "Only if I can also do an Oompa Loompa series"? Like, why two at once? You know, like,
he might have an idea. He might have a take. I don't know. I don't know. He did a good. I don't know.
I mean, that's the whole thing. I think someone had to have had an idea because, you know, was it they had the Oompa Loompa idea, but they went, how do you make that work by itself without the references to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? So do we have to develop both? But I don't know. You think you do one, if it's successful, then you spin off the other.
So wait a minute. We need to remake a movie to serve as a prologue to a prequel?
Yes.
Oh God, that's so complicated.
We have to remake a movie to serve as a prologue to a prequel. That is.
I just summed up Hollywood.
Exactly. Yes, you did. This is what every executive in Hollywood talks about right now, all the time.
And they all make more money than me.
Not for long, given the number of books you're writing, for crying out loud.
You gotta sell a lot more of them, but yes.
Well, that's what the virus is for.
That's true. Do your thing, virus. Do your thing.
Well, wait. It could either lock people in their houses and they read it, or that creates less people to read it.
Hey man, as long as they buy and the check clears Amazon, I'm good.
As long as the check clears.
Nice.
Yeah, I can't.
Right. Did you find your animated series yet, John?
No, it wasn't an animated series, and I swear Una Champlin was in it, but she's not. So I'm not sure what I'm thinking of, but it was a live action series, and it was really whacked out, and I can't remember where I saw it. It's not Emerald. I don't think it's Emerald series.
Are you sure you're not thinking of Return to Oz? Because they used to show that on TV.
Yeah, but this was done in the last 10 years, and Return to Oz was a while ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Raimi did a remake, not a remake, but a prequel in like 2011. Sam Raimi, and it wasn't very good.
It was, what's his face from,
the guy from Scrubs.
No, I was thinking of wasn't it the guy from, played Harry, Osborn in the,
Oh, you're right. They're both in it. DeFranco.
Yeah, well, yeah. James DeFranco, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So, is that what you're thinking of, John?
I don't know. I'd have to see it.
Oh my God. Okay.
Not great.
Man, this really went off the rails. And speaking of going off the rails,
slow news week.
It's a very slow news week. Speaking of being trapped in your house and wanting something to read, if you don't get the JD books, coming out this summer, Star Wars has announced, or Lucasfilm and Disney has announced what the next big thing for Star Wars is going to be.
More Han Solo? What?
It is Star Wars High Republic. It'll be a coordinated effort between novels, young adult novels, and comic books, telling the story of the Republic 500 years before The Phantom Menace. So it's a prequel to the prequel. It's very Jedi focused. It's Jedi. A lot of it, the background is Jedi fighting like space pirates. And apparently they've got a bunch of stuff planned to tell these stories. Any interest in this idea?
I don't know. Space pirates, I believe they become the Sith. Don will correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know, man. I'm not feeling it right now, but maybe I gotta read something or get hyped up for it a little bit more, but I don't know.
Yeah, tentative. I depends on what they do with it, but it's really hard to do these kinds of things because even if it's 500 years in the past, it's like, you know how it's all going to turn out anyway.
I think he's right. I think he's right, though. Narratively, what kind of stakes do you have when you know? I mean, 500 years is a lot that can happen in 500 years, but I don't trust them not to just keep doing the wink and a nod to everything that happens 500 years later. And in that case, I know what happens.
Well, so this was my thought when I heard the announcement, that is this some kind of new ploy to test the idea out in other mediums that they know Star Wars fans like? I mean, the comics sell well and the novels sell well. Is it to test the idea out, see how the fans react, and then turn it into either an animated series or a movie?
Could be.
But yes.
That's what they are. They're IP farms, these things. You kind of test shit out. I don't know.
But you're right, though. Like, are they going to say, like, did someone come up with this idea and they said to the people, like, writing the books and the comics, like, this is the basic background, write whatever story you want within this and do what you want? Or is it, here's the idea, here's where we want it to start and here's where we want it to get to and then here's where we want it to end so that we can have the wink and the nods included? You know, how much freedom do you think these writers are given?
I don't know.
Probably not a whole lot.
That's kind of my vibe.
I mean, I think even the people on the Marvel movies have more latitude than these guys will have.
Yeah?
I don't know. You know, this isn't grabbing me. Like, when Shadows of the Empire got released, granted I was a lot younger, I was really excited because we hadn't had anything in so long. But now I feel like we've got so much Star Wars content. It's just like, I don't know, it's not exciting to me anymore.
We have so much Star Wars content, but it all revolves around the same group of people and the same family.
That's what I've been saying.
And that's what the problem, I think, is.
If they open themselves up in this universe to something else, I might be interested.
But how much can they do? If this is a prequel, how much of that can they do?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, like, if you do what they did in I know you didn't like Mandalorian that much, but you're in the vast minority on that one. But I think that if they do something similar, where there's stuff that's familiar, but not like if the world feels lived in, but you provide us something new but familiar enough, I think people will like it. But I just don't trust them to contain themselves.
If they keep the scope down, right?
Yeah. Like if you can tell me a story about some Jedi, like if you give me like I'm spitballing here. Give me like the quest for the Holy Grail with Jedi, like King Arthur's quest for the Grail. If you do something similar to that with a bunch of Jedi that have to fight space pirates, I'm in. That's different. That's cool.
Right.
But if you're just gonna go, this is Mark Skywalker. And his friend,
and the great grandfather of a Wookiee.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And he just we have the prototype C-3PO right here, 3PC guy. I mean, like, I have no interest in that. Like,
well, see, and that's the stuff I wonder too, right? If you're saying you go back 500 years, is the technology any different than what we've seen?
It has to be, because even in the span of the prequels to the sequels, you can see the technology having X-Wings were invented within that time.
Well, it's like what I like about the prequels, now that you got to mention it, what I like about the prequels to the sequels is that the X-Wing equivalents in the prequels looked almost like slick 1940s cars. And by the time you get to the actual movies, they're like utilitarian Jeeps. They're just for getting around. They're kind of uglier. Which is a nice little thing about cars in the 80s and late 70s.
Right.
So I think that you have to have, like I said, that's why I use the Arthur conceit. It's like, if you give me something like that, where the technology and the feel is maybe a little more medieval, maybe something similar to that, I could get into it.
But they would have to have had much less ability to travel around the galaxy so easily,
Right. And that's kind of what I was getting at too. One of the things that was so disappointing from the Star Trek Enterprise television show is the show was supposed to be like, oh, this is them first exploring space with a starship, and within the first few episodes, boom, here's phasers, boom, here's this. There was no struggling to figure out that technology. And then by the time you got to the second season, it felt like you were watching the original series. I don't want that, I want to see a story where, maybe the lightsabers were very different. Maybe they weren't plasma swords, but a sword that had energy go through it, I don't know. Maybe regular guns instead of blasters.
I just want to see some differences. That's what I'm interested in. Show me a world that's familiar,
but different.
You know what route they could take? And it's kind of a tried true thing that a lot of science fiction books can do is yes, this is 500 years ago, but between then and now, there was this huge interregnum where we lost a lot of technology and things got restarted. So, they could do a lot of wicked stuff and then claim it gets wiped clean so that they're not actually messing with the progression of technology and stuff in the current series.
There's precedence for that.
Yeah.
The Middle Ages.
There you go.
But I'm not suggesting they use that, and by suggesting that, they probably will use that. But again, I'm fully on board with what JD's saying. If they keep it to storylines that are just cool storylines that are character driven, and and the scope is kept very, very narrow, so that they're not doing the whole, this will affect the entire galaxy thing, so that we're, wondering why in Star Wars we never heard of it. Then, it could work.
To be fair, 500 years ago, so we're talking 1500s, it's not like the War of the Roses plays a big part in our daily life. But at the time, it was pretty important. So, I got nothing else.
Yeah.
No, but you make a good point.
Until they come out with more, there's, all of this is going to be just speculation until we have something solid to work on. Then we can really hit them hard on how bad it is.
I'll keep an eye out for those comics, definitely. And that's it for the news, but breaking social media madness.
Oh, for crying out
loud. Timothy Jones, creator of Sour Grapes, friend of the show, just tweeted to us in regards to who should play She-Hulk. He said, if they have her as She-Hulk all the time, like the comics, then I'm thinking RuPaul in green makeup.
Jesus.
You interrupted the show for that one?
To which the Wizard replied, of gif of RuPaul saying sashay away. So,
yeah.
Yes, I did, because we love Timothy and his, wonderful humor.
You're better than that, Tim. You're better than that.
No, he's not. He'll sink as low as he needs to go.
We elevate people. We bring them up when we want their work to elevate. We don't bring them down. Rising tide and all that bullshit.
Well, on that note, do you guys have any recommendations for our audience this week?
Tell you what, I mean, if you're bold enough and you can and your stomach can handle it, check out Interspecies Reviewer. Besides that, Death Battle did War Machine versus Genos on YouTube. Genos being from One Punch Man. So go ahead and check that out. That should be pretty cool.
How about you, JD? You got anything?
Last night, I stayed up and watched the last 3 episodes of Watchmen. And boy, was that a good show. They really stuck the landing. Like, I had zero interest in this when it was announced, when it was coming out. But I'll be honest with you, Damon Lindelof, who strikes out quite a bit when he goes big, did a far better job than DC did when they did their Watchmen sequel story. This is like really good. And like, there's a lot of people that don't like the end of the Watchmen comic. They redeem it.
Yeah.
They really do.
Now they tied it into the after comics too, right? Regarding
No. This is a sequel to Watchmen.
Well, I know, but I had heard that Dr. Manhattan, what happens with him, actually ties into the DC Doomsday Clock thing.
It might. I'm not reading Doomsday Clock, so I have no idea. But I know that the stuff they released 6-7 years ago, the After Watchmen, I read a few of those, and none of those really did anything for me because they're standing on the shoulders of giants. And this one does a great job. Like they told a different story like we just talked about with Star Wars. They took a familiar world. And even in this case, even more ambitious because it's familiar in a different medium. Like, this is not a sequel to the 2009 movie.
Right.
Like, they make fun of it the whole time. And they do a sequel to the comic, but play it out like it was a movie, taking place 30 years later. That has nothing to do with the original story, other than some of the characters are familiar. And you live in a world without Dr. Manhattan. So you think. But it's good, man. It's really, really good. It's a very important story with the subject matter that I think needed to be told in this day and age. And, man, I highly recommend it. It surprised me how much I enjoyed it.
Huh.
Cool.
Fair enough.
I second that recommendation just because if you haven't watched it and you want to vote for it in Nerd Madness, you should watch it. At least
I'm going to.
I will now recommend, make sure you go to superheroespeak.com, check out the podcast every week, plus comic book reviews and news, and plenty of other things. You can also see where to follow us on social media, like Twitter, because again, look for hashtag Nerd Madness to participate in those upcoming polls. And I will also say that I think people, anyone who, like me, has suffered a loss, should definitely check out the podcast Love and Grief. It's a really good show. She does a great job of interviewing people and having them share their stories, and it helps. That's all I can say. So, on that note, boys and girls, I will say, as always, thanks for listening. Don't let your cape get caught in the door. Have a good week.